On this tutorial for Team Yankee, I'm going to talk about how you figure out line of sight. Now we're going to head into line of sight issues, and I'm going to start with some pretty basic ones and then go to a little more in depth. So the first basic one is we've got flat terrain, so there's nothing in the way. But if you really want to see how you view whether or not this infantry team could see this tank, or this tank could see the infantry team, or the helicopter, how would you know what they can see? How would you know what they can see, and how would you know what they can see? With infantry, it's really simple. And a lot of times it's best to get down to their level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera down. And this is pretty much what we're going to do for a lot of this is we'll bring the camera down to the level of the infantry. So you would look at what can the, here I am looking, this is what the infantry can see. So could they see that? Yeah. There's nothing in the way. Now they can't. Anywhere on this base, if they could see the target, they could shoot it. So let's say it's this situation. I don't think they can see it. Now we're able to see it. These guys can see it, these guys can't. But if you think about it, these guys can just pretend like they're not statues that's stuck there. Pretend like they can move all along the space. These guys could move over here to shoot that over there. So it's just any part of the base, if you're looking from it, can see the target, they can shoot it. Now there's some rules I'm going to go over about how much you have to see on the target, but for right now, they do have line of sight to that. All right, so let's look at a tank team. Where would you look here to see if they could shoot? You know, this poor Carnation artillery is just getting whacked here. Okay, so how do we know that they can see them? There's nothing in the way, but what would we do? Again, you can get down to their level, or you can look from above. And basically, you're going to look at where is the weapon mounted? Not the end of the gun. Where's the weapon mounted? It's mounted here. So from here, looking, can we see the target? Yes. So let's put that building in the way. Okay. No, I can't see it. Can't see it. See, we can see it here, but where the gun's mounted, we can't. That's more like we're looking up here. Once this reaches that point, and I can kind of swing it around a little bit like that, now it can see it. We've got line of sight to that target. And so when you're shooting your guns on vehicles, where's the weapon mounted at? Not the end of the gun. And the last one is aircraft. And I don't even know if it's, no, it's not. So I'm just going to bring this down here. Okay, so on aircraft, that's including strike aircraft, you look from the cockpit. Where are these guys at? What can they see? So you're going to look at from the cockpit. So that's line of sight for aircraft. And basically on aircraft, nothing will block line of sight for an aircraft. So it really doesn't matter for the most part. It does for maybe some concealment and stuff, but for the most part, aircraft can see anything on the table. So, but if you really need to know what they can truly see, look from the cockpit of the aircraft. Now the first one I want to talk about is short terrain, and how you tell short terrain. Again, and you look at this and it tells you like crop fields are short, fences and hedges are short, and so forth. The quick and dirty rule with line of sight, there's like a field or a fence, they never block line of sight. So if this tank's here and this infantry team's over here, they can see each other. So short terrain will never block line of sight. So short terrain never blocks line of sight. It does give you concealment, and I'll go more into that, but never blocks line of sight. Tall terrain can, and again, if you're not sure, that's where you go to that sheet. It tells you what's tall and what's short. And one of them, of course, is, like I showed before, this tall terrain, this building, how it can block things behind us. So here's the T-72. It can't see what's on the other side of the building, which is that. Now, men or anything inside the building, they can see. They can see each other. It's on the other side of the building that they cannot see until you get to where, remember I talked about line of sight, the gun mounting to that. Now I can see it. So buildings can block line of sight because it's tall terrain. Another example would be like woods. So like this is some woods here. This wants to see. It can't see. Let's say there's some infantry on the other side. They can't see them, even if the infantry was like up here. They cannot see to the other side of the woods. Now, if the men are in the woods, there's a chance they can see them, and that's if they're within. If the men, I'm going to get these trees over here. If these men are within 2 inches of the edge, they can be seen and be seen from the side that you measure from. So if they're over here, let's say this is the situation. Well, they're within 2 inches of this edge, but this vehicle's back here, and that's further than 2 inches. It cannot see them unless it's within 6 inches of them. If they're on the other side, can't see them. So if they're within 2 inches, they can see each other. If it's further than 2 inches, only if they're within 6 inches. And if they're on the other side of this tall terrain, they can't see each other. So that is woods. And same thing applies to hills. Now, hills could be a special case because of how they're formed. So there you can't see them. Even if they're up like this, you can't see them. Just pretend like this goes up forever. This top part's going up forever. Now, the way the rule book says, they might be able to see them. The way I've been playing it is, here's the edge, it goes all the way up. It kind of gets rid of any arguments, and you can use your tape measure to go along the side here, like that, to see if they can see them. And so forth. So that's what I do. There is one other way that somebody on the other side of the hill can be seen and be seen. That's called hold down. And that's normally you tell your opponents you can do that, and like the tank pulls up like this. So the tank's up there and it says, I'm going hold down. So they can see, but that also means they can be seen. So anybody, if they can see the target can see them basically in this game. So there's not really any hiding except for some ambush things. So you can do what's called hold down if you're on the other side of the hill and you pull up and do something like that. So that is that. The other type of blocking, it's not really terrain. The other thing that can block line of sight are your fellow allies. So let's look at this. Here's the Abrams. Here's this T-72. Here's this T-72. And actually, I'm going to get these in a line like this. So can this T-72 shoot the Abrams over here? No, because it's going to be shooting through its teammate or ally. So no. If that was not there, and it's just infantry teams, there is a possibility that this can shoot. Basically, friendly infantry teams that did not move can be shot over. So if these guys moved here, and then this tank team moved here, it cannot shoot at them because it's shooting through these guys. But let's say they didn't move, this moved up here, now it can shoot this Abrams. But let's say that this Abrams, or this T-72 really wants to shoot this Abrams. There's called a gap rule. Basically, if it's shooting through, it can get a line of sight through this gap. And if this gap is at 3/4 inch or more, which this one's about 1 inch, it can shoot between there. And that also applies not only to allies and stuff like that, but it could be buildings. Let's say we've got this. All right, he's lined up. He's got a line of sight to him. Can he shoot through there? Well, is that at least 3/4 of an inch? Yes, it is. He can shoot. If it's less than, like that situation, no, he cannot shoot at that target even though he can see him. So there's that 3/4 inch gap rule. And also don't forget about your friendly teams. And if they're infantry and they didn't move, you can shoot over them. Now, like I said, with aircraft, whether strike aircraft or helicopters, you can see the whole battlefield with them. So you can see any target you want, but that also means they can see you. But one thing I will say is once it's landed, it's treated like any other team on the ground, like a tank team. So let's say this AA here, the helicopter landed, and now this building's between them, it can't shoot the helicopter. If it was flying up on the stand, yeah, I could shoot it from here. It's shooting above the building and everything. But once it's landed, it's like any other tank or infantry team that's on the ground. Can you see the fuselage of your target from where your gun is mounted? So keep that in mind about landed aircraft. The last thing I'm going to talk about is there enough to shoot at? So this is our position. We're wanting to shoot something behind the building, and this is what we see. We see their gun barrel. Not enough shoot at. We can't do it. If we see just like their mud guards, just a little bit of it, we can't shoot it. Now we can start shooting at it. We just have to have a little bit, but sometimes it's just not enough to shoot at. I mean, look at that. No, can't do it. So don't count weapons, don't count mud guards. As far as infantry goes, if you can see their base, even though you don't see the men, you see their base, because remember they can move around on this base. There could have been one time a man here, he moved there, and now you're shooting at him, even though you don't see him. He's right there. If you see their base, you can shoot them. And aircraft, they're never blocked. So keep that in mind when you're doing line of sight. Is there really enough to shoot at? And that is all I have for this video.